Obtaining qualified leads should be the number one goal of your website. So wouldn't it be nice if your website was doing that consistently and organically? Hi everybody, my name is Paul Carey and I'm an SEO consultant here at Launch Site Boost. So in today's video, what I want to talk about is 20 different things that you can do related to SEO on your website. Some of these are only small tweaks, but they will help to boost your website in the search results so that you appear to more qualified leads in the search results. So let's get started with number one, which is to ensure that you have a technically sufficient website. Now, to be honest, most businesses believe their website is technically sufficient if you put in the URL, hit enter, and it loads. Unfortunately, that's not the case when it comes to how search engines look at your website. Now, these are things that can actually happen over time naturally. They're not going to cause too many issues depending on what they are, but a few examples would be broken links, redirect hops, so that someone clicks a link and they're redirected and redirected again and redirected again. Or it might be a case of that you've got what Google refer to as mixed content, meaning that you're linking to insecure versions of either your own website or to somebody else's website. Now, just to give you an example of how common this can actually be, we were on a consultation call yesterday with a well-known European company. And when we were going through their website with them, we did find a lot of technical issues on the website which they weren't aware of at all or didn't believe that they previously had. So we found multiple 404 dead links to not only something on their own website they were trying to link and trying to get leads for, but also to external websites that they were linking to as well. We also found that in the footer of their website that they had particular pages that were linking to 301 redirects. And because it was in the footer of their website, it was actually then appearing on every single page of their website, which was causing further issues. Now look, as we've mentioned previously, if someone, as in a visitor who's on your website, clicks a link and they've been redirected, they don't know what's happened because it happens like that. It's extremely fast. It's literally milliseconds. However, a search engine does know that this is happening. And even though it might just be milliseconds, that could actually make or break the difference in Google's latest page speed update that they were doing. Now, basically, Google have said multiple times that this is not going to be one of the more extreme ranking factors. However, it's going to be more of a tiebreaker. However, if you're in a tiebreaker situation, wouldn't you prefer that your website or the page that somebody clicks loads milliseconds faster so that you appear above them in the search results? To me, that just makes sense. Another issue that this particular company had was also in the footer of their website. They were linking to an external company to show how safe they were, how secure they were. And ironically, that particular link was an insecure link. Not only was it an insecure link, but it also had several 301 redirects in it. So first of all, when you click the link, it was an insecure version of that website, which then 301 redirected to the secure version of the website, but then it had to 301 redirect again to the non-www version of that particular website. So there was multiple 301s happening there as well as insecure links. Now, we've previously done a video all about broken links, how you can find them and how you can resolve them. And we usually recommend that you would do what's known as a crawl of your website, essentially a scan of your website at least once a month to find broken links. However, you can do that same crawl to find the likes of insecure content, different 301 redirects, and other technical issues at least once per month. Moving on to section 2 is to ensure that your website actually uses and contains the keywords that your ideal clients are actually searching for. Now, I know that this might seem fairly obvious. However, there's a lot of businesses out there who they'll just assume the particular keywords that somebody's going to search for them. Now, the biggest mistake that we constantly see here is that a particular company will want to just actually rank for their brand name. Now, if someone is going to search for your brand name, they already know, like, and trust you. They already are going to do business with you. The whole idea of what we're trying to get here is if someone does a non-branded search for your particular product or the service that you provide. So they're at the stage of the customer journey now where they're looking at different companies. They're not sure who they actually want to work with yet, but you have to at least show up in that particular search result to at least have a fighting chance. That's why you need to use those particular keywords that you know that your clients are searching for every single month. Now, we previously actually did a video all about keyword research, how you can find these, including with free tools. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below also. Section 3 is to make sure that you have a mobile optimized website. Now, this is an absolute must do in this day and age because most people, and that is the vast majority, are searching for any kind of particular searches, and it's all on mobile these days. That's whether they're looking for information, they're looking to buy a product, they're looking to book a consultation with someone, whatever it is, it's all done on mobiles these days. You have to have a mobile optimized website. Now, unfortunately, we still find a lot of websites that were not exactly optimized for mobile, but they were built with mobile in mind, but they don't really pass Google's testings. Now, how we know this is Google actually have a free tool that tests if your website is mobile friendly. Now, your website might actually load fine on a mobile. It might be a situation where you don't have to pinch and zoom like we previously did when the first iPhones came out, and the website is actually made to respond to the size of the screen that it's on. However, there is certain elements that Google are still checking within that. And as I mentioned, Google do have a free tool for that. So it might look like your website works on mobile, but you really need to see, does it pass the test of a search engine like Google? That's why it's so important to double and triple check these kind of things also. Moving on to section 4, and that is to build unique individual pages for the services that you offer. Now, we actually run a webinar every single Wednesday, and the example that we use in that webinar is when someone does a search for the likes of insurance. Now, at that stage, Google doesn't really know what kind of insurance you're looking for. So they're not sure what particular search term or what particular results that you want to see. Now, usually when you see the results, when you've put in the term insurance and you realize, oh, actually, this isn't what I'm looking for. I'm looking for car insurance. You will instantly go back to Google and type car insurance instead of just insurance. At that stage, Google knows, you're looking for car insurance. Well, here's a load of pages of people who actually provide car insurance. So if it's a particular insurance company that you run and you do car insurance, van insurance, home insurance, fire insurance, whatever it is, make sure that you have dedicated pages all about these things. Now, the reason this is important is because someone who searches the likes of car insurance, well, they obviously want car insurance. So if you can show up to someone who's at a stage of their journey where they know what they want, they know the exact term they're searching for, well, it's a really good thing if you can show up there. And section 5 of this is to build your personal client avatar, or persona as it sometimes is called. Now, the big mistake that a lot of business can make is that their audience is everyone. But if your audience is everyone, your audience unfortunately is no one. You really do need to have a specific targeted person in mind. Now, what you should actually do, and I believe HubSpot actually have a free tool for this to create this particular client persona. So you essentially should make up a person. Now, that person, you should give them a name, an age. You should say where they live. You should say what their hobbies are. You should say especially where they hang out online, whether it be Facebook or they prefer Instagram, whatever it may be. And this will really help to narrow down when you're creating content of who you're trying to speak to and who you're trying to reach. Now, this will actually take time to filter down, and you'll go through a few different variations of this before you find the perfect person that you're trying to target. And look, hands up, we've been guilty of this before. At the start of our own journey, we actually thought that it would be business owners and managing directors who would be interested in speaking to us and interested in our services. However, we very quickly found out that most managing directors and business owners, not only do they not know what SEO is, but even as much as you could explain it to them in the simplest of forms, they don't get it, they don't understand it, they don't want to hear about it. So we very, very quickly realized as we were starting to have consultation calls that the people we were speaking to were digital marketing managers. And it might even be a case of that you actually are a digital marketing manager watching this video as well, which is quite meta. But we are now creating our content so specifically for digital marketing managers. And when we found who exactly we were trying to reach out with our content, well, that actually gave us a lot more consultation calls. It brought in a lot more leads to us, a lot more qualified leads at that. So this definitely works. And that actually helps us to move in nicely to the next section, which is section 6. And that's actually creating content that actually speaks to your ideal audience or your perfect client avatar, as it sometimes is also known. Now, as I mentioned, we originally thought that we were going to be speaking to business owners, managing directors, people extremely high up in the company. However, as I mentioned previously, they don't want to hear about SEO, they don't understand it, they don't want to know about it. So when we realized that it was digital marketing managers who we were speaking to, well, they already have a fair understanding of SEO. They first of all know how important it is. They second of all know a fair bit about it. However, we just go extra nerdy on SEO. So we seem to be quite nerdy and geeky when it comes to the knowledge that they may have to the knowledge that we may have. Now, this helps us appear as expertise in the industry, but it also means that we're speaking a language that they understand. So that means that when we create content and we talk about titles and descriptions and heading tags, they know all that sort of stuff. They've heard it before. They may have heard it on courses previously, but then we just tell them how to supercharge all that sort of stuff. And that makes, again, us seem like very much expertise in the industry. And they then want to have a further chat with us, speak to us, and we usually in that case end up working with that particular person. Section 7 is probably the most difficult part that a lot of people have, and that is to get real and authoritative backlinks to your website. Now, again, this works perfectly with our particular client avatar, which is digital marketing managers, because again, they may know how to do their titles, descriptions, their heading tags, all of that sort of stuff. But unless you're really, really deep in the SEO ecosystem, well, backlinks are still a real struggle for a lot of people. Now, we have a lot of clients who they're perfectly knowledgeable and we have full faith in them with their on-page SEO and even their technical SEO, but they just need our particular help with off-page SEO. So again, we can talk about what a backlink is. They know what a backlink is, but then we can go into a bit more extremes of what they are, such as the differences between a do follow and a no follow and all of that sort of stuff. And that actually speaks to them in a language that they understand. Again, turning them into a qualified lead when they want to have a consultation call with us and find out what kind of work we can do with them. Now, this goes for all sorts of industries. And again, this means that when you're building backlinks, that you're building backlinks from authoritative and relevant websites, and they're the kind of backlinks that stick, that Google want to see, and the kind of backlinks that you're not going to be destroyed when a new spam update comes into play. Section 8 is to offer an awesome lead magnet that captures that particular person's details. This gets them into your ecosystem. Even if they don't become a paying client immediately, they are a qualified lead. So basically, if you're on our particular blog post, and you might actually be watching this video on our blog post because we do embed them on all the different blog posts that we put out there, well then you'll see that we have several different lead magnets. So we have one as you start to scroll down the page that pops up about 80% of the page that you've scrolled through. The reason for this is because, and this is something that we say to pretty much 90% of people that we have consultation calls with, a lot of businesses will, immediately as someone lands on a website, there'll be a pop-up for 10% off, sign up for our newsletter, whatever it might be. At that stage, that person more than likely doesn't know who you are. They don't know what you can do for them. They don't know what kind of things you offer. So where is the benefit or the value for that person to sign up to your newsletter or to even get 10% off? They don't know what they're getting 10% off of yet. So that's why we always recommend, and we do it ourselves, is that when someone has scrolled through 80% of the page, then that pop-up should appear with a lead magnet. Now, the reason for this is because if they're at 80%, they've already consumed the vast majority of the content. They're clearly interested in it and they clearly want to know more. So at that stage, you also then get higher conversions on your lead magnets also. Now, we also do what's known as an exit pop-up, which means that as you start to scroll away from our website or you go to look at a different tab or go to close the tab, that we'll say, wait, hang on a second. You sure you don't want this free bit of information? This is the secret that a lot of people don't know. Now, I know that that's incredibly cheesy to say. However, it does get us quite a lot of leads. Now, those leads then go straight into our lead magnet funnel system, which is actually built through ActiveCampaign. So those particular people who do sign up, they do get follow-up emails automatically of different things that we could offer for them, or would they like a free, video audit of their website, whatever it might be. And to be honest, that gets us a lot of qualified leads also. Number 9 is one of my favorites, and it's don't make it difficult for somebody to become a paying client of yours. We see a lot of websites that are built extremely strangely, and you have to jump through hoops essentially to become a paying client of that particular business. Now, a great example of people who do this correctly, and look, you may not like them, but Ryanair do a fantastic job on their website of making it so simple for someone to become a paying client. You literally go to their website, say where you want to fly to and from, on what dates, that's it, you're paid. Now, it's only after that section that Ryanair then start to say, would you like insurance? Would you like a hotel? Would you like a car? Whatever it is. But you're already committed to that. Whereas a lot of people do this backwards. They say, look, we have this and we can offer this, and this. And there's a lot of hoops to actually jump through before someone becomes a paying client. Make it simple for someone. Just give them the features and benefits of what you can provide to them, how you can make their life easier. Make it so simple for them to become a paying client. Number 10 is to obtain positive reviews and testimonials. Now, this is not exactly an SEO ranking factor. However, it is more so a conversion factor. Now, the more positive reviews and testimonials you have, well, obviously that's going to help your conversion rate on your website. Now, if you're strictly a local business, you might see these on the likes of your Google My Business listing. If you're in the snack pack or the treat pack, when someone searches coffee or chiropractor or something like that, that's more of a local search, you might then actually show up there with your reviews. That might actually be more reviews than the other people who show up, which obviously would help you a lot more. Or it might be a case of that you are a software company and you're listed on one of the big software blogs, software review blogs, software versus blogs, whatever you want to call them, comparison blogs, and you're listed there as well. For your particular, let's say, accounting software, you're listed against all the other people, but you have higher and better reviews than the other people. Well, just human nature in that case is to click the people who have the better reviews and the higher reviews, because you've obviously helped people like them in the past, so they want the same kind of service. So also not only having reviews, but using those as testimonials on your website can really help to further instill that trust factor in someone before they're about to become a paying client. Section 11 is to use internal linking on your website. Now look, we've talked about internal linking a fair bit in our previous videos. Actually, one of the next videos that we're about to release is all about internal linking, how you can use it, why it's beneficial for you, and if you want to see that video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. But essentially, in a nutshell, what an internal link is it just essentially is a link from your website to another page on your website. It's not an external link to somebody else's website. It's not a backlink where someone else has linked to you. It's a link from your website page to another one of your website pages. This is something that Google likes to see. Now, because it's an internal link, you obviously control it on your own website. So this means that you can actually then control the anchor text. So if it is a case of like you run accounting software, let's say, and if you want to make it very, very simple for someone to understand how the reporting looks, so that you don't need a degree in accountancy to understand the reporting, let's say, you can actually link to your accountancy reporting page, and that's very strong anchor text in the eyes of Google. So you do have the power and the ability to utilize all of this sort of stuff yourself, because obviously you control everything on your own website. Section 12 is to create content for every single stage of the funnel. Now, we have talked about this previously, but essentially what that means is you don't want to just go after what we call bottom of funnel keywords. So someone types in buy accounting software or subscribe to accounting software, whatever it may be. You want to actually have informational content that is suitable for every single stage of the process. So somebody might search something such as, how do I do this particular function in Excel, or how do I do this particular formula in Excel? And you may not think that they're a qualified lead at that stage. However, if you do have a blog post all about the top formulas that accountants need to know for Excel, well then obviously a lot of people are going to see that who understand the language and the terminology that you use, and you might even offer that as a lead magnet like we talked about previously. Now, when that person is at the stage if they're constantly using Excel for their accountancy, they will get to a stage where they go, there has to be an easier way to do this. And if you're smart enough and you've been following up with them once you've actually got their details from the lead magnet that you've offered to them, well, you're obviously going to be solidifying your brand name in their head constantly. Or if you didn't actually give them a lead magnet and they never signed up, when they do get to a stage where they think there has to be an easier way to do this, I don't really want to use Excel anymore, and they do search accounting software, well, if you've also got content for that particular person, which is the same person in this case, it's just that they're at a different stage of their journey, well, they're going to see your website and go, oh yeah, these guys were really helpful before. They obviously know what they're talking about. Let's sign up to their accountancy software. So that's why it's very important to have content for a person who's at every single different stage of the funnel. Because even if they're a top of funnel person now, they may not purchase for the next 6, 12 months, whatever it may be, but they will be in your ecosystem so that when it does get to the buying stage, they already know, like, and trust you. This is super powerful. Section 13 is to stand out in the search results with magnetic data. Now, what I mean by this is your title, your description, and your URL also. Now, there's a few other things that can come up to play there, and I'll talk about them briefly in a moment. But basically, when you appear in a Google search result, this is your opportunity so that you can tell someone why they should click on your website as opposed to the 9 other competitors that are also appearing. So again, if someone searches accounting software, you need to have that in your title because that's exactly what they're looking for. Also, if you mention accounting software in your description, it will show up in bold. And if it's also in your URL, that helps as well. So the more that they see this, the more they're going to go, okay, this is what I'm looking for. But bear in mind that your title, and this is one of the mistakes that we see a lot of people make, your title should always be the main primary keyword that you're trying to target, such as accounting software in this example, followed by, if you have the ability to do this, because bear in mind you only have about 60, 70 characters to play with, you should actually have, a particular benefit to that person of why they should click on your site as opposed to somebody else. So, easy solution for accountants, whatever it might be, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for the easiest solution, and then followed by a brand name. A lot of people actually put their brand name first, and this is the mistake that we see a lot of people make, because at this stage of someone's journey, if they've just searched accounting software, they don't know who your brand is. They don't know, like, and trust you at this stage. They just want what's in it for them, which is an easy, fast solution to their problem. So they're the important keywords that you need to put first in your title. And this essentially goes for your description as well, because your description is the kind of bigger paragraph, 2 lines or so, of why someone should click you as opposed to somebody else. So you really need to include there why someone should click on you, followed by a call to action, such as our accountancy software is highly reviewed by people in the business over 15 years, whatever it may be. Sign up for a free trial today. So you've got a call to action there that makes someone go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to click these people. Because bear in mind, that person's never seen your website before. So you need to convince them in the search results to click on your website as opposed to somebody else's website. And it's only at that stage that that's the first time in many cases that they've landed on your website. So that's why having magnetic data in the search results is super important. You really need to draw people in to make sure they click on you as opposed to your competitors. Section 14 is to use relevant keywords on all of your pages also. Now, a lot of people still think that SEO is like it used to be 10 years ago, where Google are just looking for one particular keyword on a page. So again, accounting software as an example, that if you've used that in your title, your description, your headings, all that sort of stuff, that Google will say, okay, let's send traffic to this particular website. But bear in mind, and this has been very, very more so since, let's say, late October, early November 2019, when Google released the BERT update, that's B-E-R-T. This essentially means that Google were a lot smarter when it came to understanding web pages. And that's essentially their goal. They want to understand what your page is about so that they can show it to more people. Now, the more that Google understands your page, obviously the more they want to show it to more people. So how do we do that? Well, that means that we need to actually put relevant keywords on the page also. So this means that Google are not just looking for a keyword on a page anymore, but they're looking at all the wording on a page, how they connect to each other, how they relate to each other, how they can connect the dots, and how that gives context to what the page is about. Again, this really helps Google to understand what your page is about. And the more they can understand what your page is about, the more people that they can show it to when they are confident that that is the particular page that somebody is searching for. The more you can do this, obviously, the better. Section 15 is to build out FAQs on the page, but also use Schema Markup as well. Now, this is also something that we've talked about a lot previously, but as I mentioned a moment ago, you need to really draw people in when they see your website in the search results. Now look, it's one thing to actually have your website show up in a search result if you have your title, your description, and your URL show up. But obviously, the more real estate that you can take up in the search results pages, the better. Because what you can actually do is, if you have FAQs on the page, and bear in mind, you do need to have these on the page before you can implement this, but you can then implement FAQ schema. So you may have seen previously that if you've ever done a search for something, that a website will appear, but certain websites also have a couple of questions underneath them in the search results as well. This is all thanks to FAQ Schema Markup. Now, unfortunately, this is a bit more nerdy. This does involve a bit of coding, but you don't actually need to do this from your website itself. This can actually be implemented from Google Tag Manager. Now, if I'm being honest, this is how we implement FAQ Schema for all of our clients. We actually do this through Google Tag Manager. It means that we don't actually need to go into their website and change anything. We can just do it from an external source, such as Google Tag Manager, which makes our job easier, their job easier, and boosts them up more so in the search results as well. Section 16 is to reverse engineer your competitors' success. Now, we actually did a video all about this recently called SERP Analysis for SEO. Now, SERP just stands for Search Engine Results Pages, but we went through the on-page SEO, the off-page SEO, and the technical SEO of your competitors, how you can see all of this sort of data, how you can see what exactly they're doing, and how you can then draw inspiration from that as well, so that you can actually do it even better than them and appear higher in the search results than they're appearing. But the reason that you would actually reverse engineer your competitors and to actually conduct SERP analysis is because if they're already ranking for the particular keyword that you want to rank for, they're obviously doing something right in Google's eyes. So the more that you can reverse engineer, draw inspiration, and do it even better than them, Google will heavily reward you for this. So it's very important to conduct SERP analysis and competitor research before you start to actually optimize the page fully. Now, section 17 is very similar to some of the sections that we've already mentioned, but it's to use industry relevant keywords on your page. Now, we talked about using relevant keywords on the page already, but if you can also use industry relevant keywords on the page, then you're actually just speaking a language that somebody can understand. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, we now essentially make all of our content speaking to digital marketing managers. So if we talk about other things that we don't particularly do, but we know that they do, such as social media management or PPC, Facebook ads, whatever it is, we can talk about that sort of stuff. And they'll know that we know about the industry overall, so they actually then trust us even more. And to be honest, we actually jump on a lot of consultation calls with people who, when we're finished the call and ask, do you have any further questions? We'd be happy to answer. They usually say, no, you clearly know your stuff. So not only have we mentioned it to them previously, but then we hop on a call with them, we further solidify that we know what we're talking about. And it's because we're using industry relevant keywords that they understand. It's a particular terminology that they use every single day in their working career. So the more that you can speak someone's language, the more that they'll be on board with working with you. Section 18 is that if you're strictly a local business, then optimize for local SEO also. Now, we did a previous video, and to be honest, it was very, very similar to this video. A lot of the points are similar, but if it's particularly local SEO that you're after, there are some tweaks and some differences to what you can actually do to rank better. Now, earlier on in this video, I mentioned appearing in the treat pack or the snack pack when someone searches coffee or chiropractor or something like that. But if they're looking for someone in their area, which is obviously your area if you work there as well, this is how you can appear there. So there actually is a few other things that you need to do to tweak your website and to optimize and to use something like Google My Business and local business citations if you want to actually appear for local searches also for the particular service that you provide. Now look, this might be a case of that you're a mechanic or you can change somebody's tires or whatever it might be, but a particular service that you offer. But if it's a local service, then make sure that you have obviously optimized for local searches also, not just national searches, or depending on what kind of business you run, it could also be international searches also. But if you do run a business that is specifically local and you only serve one particular area, town, city, whatever it may be, then make sure that you've had a look at our previous local SEO video to see what else you can do to further optimize and show up to even more people in the search results. Section 19 is to make sure that your content is easy on the eyes. Now, we come across a lot of websites where, first of all, like we mentioned earlier, it may not be mobile optimized, which means someone has to pinch and zoom still at this day and age to actually see your content. And in most cases, people will just get annoyed with that and they'll actually do what's known as bounce off your website and they'll go straight to your competitor, the person who showed up under you in the search results. But also, even if your website is optimized, whether it be desktop or mobile, whatever it is, make sure that your content is easy to consume. Now, what I mean by that is that the text isn't all squished together, that there's nice paragraph breaks, that there's headings, that there's things that people can essentially skim and that a search engine can also skim and quickly understand also. But you've also got media such as images. It might be an infographic, for example, or something that an image of you working with a particular previous client, whatever it may be. Might be some videos that you've put in there, videos that either are very relevant to just your industry or a video that shows you specifically working with somebody or whatever it might be. But your content needs to be very easy on the eyes and very easy to consume. And the more that you have consumable content that somebody likes, the more that they can either come back and view more of your content in the future, or the more that they can actually share it to other people in the industry, which is not only beneficial to find other qualified leads coming into you, but in most cases, it's going to give you some strong backlinks also. And finally, section 20 is to review your positive acquisition data in Google Analytics. Now, Google Analytics is a free tool provided by Google. It's very easy to install on your website. If you're using WordPress, Google have, I believe it's called SiteKit, where you can easily install your Google Analytics there, as well as your Search Console and a few other things as well. I think your Tag Manager also. But if it's not something you can install easily, ask your web developer to do it, and they should be able to do it in a matter of moments. But why it's important to review the data in Google Analytics is because this will allow you to see what is actually working. Now, what we always check, and it's one of the first checks that we always do when a client comes on board with us, is we make sure that they have correct goals set up in Google Analytics. This means that we can see when qualified leads are coming through on the website. Now, there's a few different ways that you can track this, and you can set up to 20 different goals on one particular view in your Google Analytics. But what you can do is if someone goes into the Contact Us form and they've submitted it and they go to a thank you page, you can tell Google Analytics that particular page they've landed on, which is /thank you. Well, register that as a goal that someone has now tried to get in touch with us and they want us to get back to them, or they've submitted an inquiry form, whatever it is. But what you can also do is set up a separate form for, let's say, pricing, which is obviously someone's a bit further down their customer journey. They're more closer to becoming a paying client. So if they've requested a pricing form or requested a call about pricing, whatever it may be, and they filled out that form, well, your URL that the form then leads to could be /thank-you-pricing, which then means that you can tell Google Analytics that if someone sees that particular URL, that Google Analytics can register that as a goal that someone wants to see payment information or pricing information. So you can actually then assign different values to those particular leads as well, because obviously someone who wants pricing information from you, they'll be more valuable and more qualified than someone who's a bit earlier in the journey and just wants an initial consultation call, for example. So it's really important to set these up in Google Analytics, but also to review them at least once a month in Google Analytics also to see if you're getting more leads based on the work that you've just done or if you're getting less leads. So that brings me to an end of today's video, which was 20 different things that you could do on your website to further optimize for SEO, meaning that you can show up to more people in the search results and to attract more qualified leads to your website. So hopefully you got a bit of value from this video. What I'll do is I'll end the video now, but if you do have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comment section below, as we do our very best to reply to each and every single one of them and help in any way that we can. But other than that, enjoy the rest of your day and hopefully we'll speak again soon. Bye.